somewhere over the waters near Yemen, a United States military asset locked onto a target. The object was spherical, smooth, and had no visible means of propulsion. No wings, no exhaust plume, no control surfaces. Standard engagement protocol was followed. An AGM-114 Hellfire Missile, one of the most battle-proven precision munitions in the American arsenal, was fired. It struck the object directly, and nothing happened. The sphere didn't shatter, it didn't deflect, it didn't evaporate in a fireball. According to multiple accounts from officials who viewed the footage, the missile appeared to impact and simply bounce off. The object continued its trajectory, undamaged, indifferent. This footage, shown behind closed doors to members of the United States Congress, became one of the most discussed pieces of UAP evidence in the modern disclosure era. It raises a question that no public official has yet adequately answered. What is that thing made of? On May 17, 2022, the House Intelligence Subcommittee on Counterterrorism, Counterintelligence, and Counterproliferation held the first open congressional hearing on unidentified aerial phenomena in over 50 years. Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence Scott Bray presented declassified imagery and video to lawmakers. One clip showed a brief, reflective spherical object passing a Navy pilot's cockpit. Bray acknowledged the intelligence community had no explanation. But the real revelations came in the classified session that followed. Multiple members of Congress later described footage far more extraordinary than what the public saw. Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee was among the most vocal afterward, repeatedly referencing videos shown in the SCF, the Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, that he said were, quote, breathtaking. The Hellfire engagement footage reportedly surfaced across multiple classified briefings between 2022 and 2023. Former intelligence officer and whistleblower David Grush referenced awareness of military engagements with anomalous objects during his July 26, 2023 testimony before the House Oversight Committee, though specific operational details remained classified. To understand why this footage is significant, you need to understand what a Hellfire missile does. The AGM-114 Hellfire is a precision air-to-ground missile system originally designed to destroy Soviet main battle tanks. Depending on the variant, it carries either a high-explosive anti-tank-shaped charge or a metal-augmented fragmentation warhead. The shaped charge variants, the most likely type used in a direct engagement, function by detonating an explosive liner, typically copper, at enormous velocity. This creates a superplastic jet of metal traveling at roughly 8 kilometers per second, over 17,000 miles per hour. The detonation temperature exceeds 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The jet can penetrate over 800 millimeters of rolled homogeneous steel armor. It has destroyed T-72 tanks, hardened bunkers, and reinforced concrete structures. The missile itself travels at Mach 1.3, roughly 950 miles per hour, with a unit cost hovering around $150,000. In the history of modern warfare, very few things survive a direct Hellfire hit, certainly nothing that just hovers there afterward. Let's be precise about language. When officials describe the missile bouncing off, they likely don't mean the entire missile ricocheted like a ball off a wall. What probably occurred, based on the physics involved, is that the warhead detonated on contact, the shaped charge jet formed and struck the surface, and the object's exterior neither deformed nor penetrated. The explosive energy dissipated. The target remained structurally intact. This is, within known materials science, extremely difficult to explain. The hardest materials available to modern engineering include tungsten carbide, boron carbide, and synthetic diamond composites. Some ceramic matrix composites used in next-generation armor can defeat shaped charge jets through disruption, breaking the coherent copper jet into fragments that lose penetrating power. Reactive armor on tanks uses a counter-explosive to disrupt the jet. Electromagnetic armor concepts, still largely experimental, theorize using intense magnetic fields to destabilize the metallic jet. But none of these survive without visible damage. None leave the structure looking untouched, and none are found on smooth, seamless, propulsionless spheres operating in contested airspace. This is where the conversation enters more speculative territory, but speculation grounded in real research. Since at least the 1990s, alleged material samples associated with UAP events have surfaced for analysis. The most well-known are the so-called arts parts, layered bismuth and magnesium zinc samples sent anonymously to radio host Art Bell in 1996. Analyses by multiple laboratories, including work funded by Robert Bigelow's organization and later by To the Stars Academy, revealed isotopic ratios inconsistent with known terrestrial manufacturing processes and a micro-layered structure at scales suggesting precise engineering. Dr. Hal Puthoff, a physicist who has worked with both CIA and DIA programs, has publicly discussed the theoretical potential of engineered metamaterials, materials with structures designed to interact with electromagnetic radiation in ways natural materials cannot. In principle, a material engineered at the atomic level could exhibit properties like extreme energy absorption, electromagnetic field manipulation, or even gravitational interaction. If, and this remains a significant if, the sphere over Yemen was constructed from such materials, conventional weapons might simply have no mechanism to damage it. The Yemen engagement does not exist in isolation. There is a documented pattern of military attempts to engage anomalous objects that ended in equipment failure or total ineffectiveness. In the 1976 Tehran incident, an Imperial Iranian Air Force F-4 Phantom attempted to fire an AIM-9 missile at a luminous UAP. The weapons system and communications electronics simultaneously failed. In 1980, Peruvian Air Force pilot Oscar Santa Maria Huertas fired 64 30mm cannon rounds at a silver sphere hovering near La Jolla Air Base. He reported direct hits with no visible effect. The Nimitz encounters of 2004 didn't involve weapons engagement, but the Tic Tac object demonstrated acceleration capabilities, estimated at over 600 G-forces, that rendered pursuit meaningless. Retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who has become an outspoken advocate for transparency, stated publicly in 2024 that the U.S. military has encountered objects demonstrating capabilities that, quote, represent a technological supremacy we do not understand. The pattern isn't one engagement. It's decades of engagements producing the same result. Why hasn't the Hellfire footage been released publicly? The answer lies in a classification architecture that, according to multiple whistleblowers and legislators, was designed not just to protect national security, but to prevent the information from reaching Congress itself. David Grush testified under oath in July 2023 that UAP-related programs had been illegally withheld from congressional oversight. He described a system of special access programs, or SAPs, used to compartmentalize information about retrieved materials and encounters beyond normal oversight channels. The UAP Disclosure Act of 2023, authored by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Rounds, sought to establish an independent review board with eminent domain authority over UAP-related records. The most ambitious provisions were stripped during the National Defense Authorization Act negotiations, reportedly under intense pressure from key House members with ties to defense contractors. As of mid-2025, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARO, has produced reports that critics, including Inspector General Thomas Monheim, have described as incomplete. The Hellfire footage remains classified. The full analysis of that engagement remains inaccessible to the public. Let's return to the core question. What material could do this? Dr. Kevin Knuth, a professor of physics at the University at Albany and former NASA research scientist, has spoken extensively about the physics of UAP observables. He notes that the reported characteristics, extreme thermal resistance, imperviousness to kinetic impact, zero apparent inertia effects, suggest either a material with properties far beyond our current periodic table applications or a field-based defense mechanism rather than a material one. Consider, if the sphere was enveloped in an intense electromagnetic or gravitational field, the Hellfire's shaped charge jet might have been deflected or disrupted before ever contacting a physical surface. The observed bounce could be the explosive energy being redirected by a field effect, not a material interaction at all. This isn't science fiction. It's theoretical physics, unproven, but not in violation of known laws. It simply requires energy densities and field manipulation capabilities that human technology has not yet achieved. The honest answer is this: we don't know what it was. But the footage exists. People with the highest security clearances in the country have watched it, and they came out of those briefings shaken. There is a version of this story in which the Hellfire footage is eventually explained through conventional means: a classified drone test, a sensor artifact, a misidentified object. That possibility must remain on the table until the evidence is made available for independent analysis. But consider what we do know. Military personnel fired a live weapon at an unidentified object in an active conflict zone. That object survived the engagement. The footage was deemed so significant that it was shown to members of Congress in a classified setting. Multiple elected officials from both parties have described it as extraordinary, and despite years of pressure, it has not been released to the American public. Senator Marco Rubio, then Vice Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said in 2023 that individuals with first-hand knowledge had come forward describing, quote, a program that has been shielded from congressional oversight for years. He added, some of these people have held very high clearances and very high positions. The missile cost $150,000 and traveled at the speed of sound. Whatever it hit was worth infinitely more, not in dollars, but in what it might tell us about who or what else operates in our skies. The question was never whether the weapon worked. The Hellfire performed exactly as designed. The question is what it hit.